them or whatever. So I totally agree with that. You know, it's like Dom waking up at 4:45. Scott Spear goes to bed at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and he wakes up around 8. So, you know, he still puts in his hours.
Is that where he is now? Is he sleeping?
Probably is. He's not a morning person. Text him and call him a quitter. All right, let's get started over here, and because then we'll get this whole thing situated. I think we're pretty much most people here. I can't really tell though, but for those of you who don't know, this is the alternative meeting, the Alternative Real Estate Investment Association. We focus on everything having to do with real estate except for tenants and toilets. There's a whole separate meeting for that till your heart's ever so content. We talk about everything. We keep this very open forum. There's nothing really structured. We're here to interact with each other and to be able to not only bounce ideas, but also figure out ways to be able to grow our business here. Okay. There is a homeowners. What the heck? Oh my God. Not the landlords. What's it called? Oh my God, my brain. Housing providers meeting. Housing providers meeting. Yes, thank you. That's going to be next Thursday morning. And is that live or is that going to be on Zoom?
It's at Izzy's.
Okay, it's at Izzy's. Perfect. Izzy's on Buffalo Road. That's going to start around, actually networking is about 8:30ish, a little after that, and it'll be 9 o'clock. And I think Pat Gallagher and Beth do that meeting. Check out the FFREIA website. And next Thursday night is going to be the main meeting, which is everybody really needs to check this out. I'm going to let Leon talk about it though, but it's going to be a gentleman who is extremely well known. The guy he's out of Fairport and he speaks nationally. Okay. And I think it's going to be only because of his schedule. I think it's only going to be on Zoom for next Thursday. I'm going to let Leon talk about that. Leon, do you know if it is going to be 100% on Zoom?
Yeah, I can. Let me sort of address the upcoming general meeting. And basically, we're going to have, as Joe's indicated, a speaker that's local. He actually lives in the city of Rochester, and known him for probably, I'm going to say 5 years, maybe a little bit longer than that. And he's longtime real estate investor. When I first found out about him, that was probably 10, 15 years ago, where he was doing just primarily flipping houses and that sort of thing. From a military-oriented background. And basically, he is one of the best in the world at doing Airbnb. And so we'll get some more information up on the website. The information that we got up right now is fairly limited. So we'll talk about that tomorrow and see if we can get some more information up there on the website. And James Graham is going to be our speaker. He's going to be in Florida. He has a residence in Florida. He basically he's bought a house there, if I remember correctly, and he has 26 Airbnb units that he got from one person there that is all in a resort. So he's really well known and very good at it. There are members of Freedom First that are part of his group and program that he put together. They've actually utilized his program and package and approaches and part of his mentoring and training group. And so you have folks who actually utilize and know this individual on a day-by-day basis. And the numbers that that's outlined in the website where He started and with a run rate of roughly 250,000, and he's at 2.5 million at this point. I talk to him fairly often. He wants to get to a rate of 5 million. So, and he's doing that through real estate and utilizing Airbnb. And he's a everyday person that we know and can reach out and touch. So I think you'll be very interested in his approach and how he does things. He actually does Airbnb arbitrage. So as I indicated, a couple of members are utilizing his approach and actually have Airbnb packages here in Rochester. So it should be a great session. It is going to be a Zoom meeting, but we're also going to be in person at Da Vinci's. It's sort of a hybrid, if you will, of both. James is going to be in Florida, and we'll have folks here that'll be together and they can ask questions, they can discuss things, they can do some networking before and after the meeting. So that was the thoughts around doing it that way. So did I miss anything? Andy, Joe, D? So I guess the key thing is look forward to seeing people there. I think you'll find it to be a very exciting session where someone shows you how to make a lot of money without actually owning property. And he can normally teach someone and have them standing up a Airbnb property in a few weeks. So it covers everything associated with it. And we won't do that during the session, but you'll find out how.
All right. And so the rest of the information will be up on FFREIA, on the FFREIA website.
The information associated with the Zoom session and a couple of words around James and what I just said, that's on the website right now. So you could actually register for it and be able to links and that stuff all set up, and so it's there on the website.
Perfect. And that's going to be next Thursday night. Networking is around 6:30 and it starts at 7 o'clock. Da Vinci's on West Ridge Road.
Be absolutely correct.
Okay, perfect. And if anyone missed any of that, just go on the FFREIA website, FFREIA.com, Freedom First Real Estate Investment Association. Okay. We're going to fly through this real quick here, so because I know we got to get through some stuff over here. We're also going to be doing haves and wants. Anyone has anything looking to buy or sell, put it out there right now. Anybody got anything? Anybody looking for anything? Let us know, please.
This is Tom. I'm always looking in 14609 and in the ward. If anybody has anything, buy and holds, fix and flips, anything, I'm your man. I'll put my contact info in the chat. Thank you.
Perfect.
And as I indicated, Joe, right before the session started, I'm looking for rehab properties that I can do a fix and flip on, primarily in the eastern suburbs and eastern side of Monroe County, for sake of better words.
Okay.
So all those areas like Penfield, Webster, anything in Arundequoit.
Okay.
I'm also looking to anywhere where the numbers make sense. That's pretty much it. I have an apartment in Cornhill that's coming up for rent June 1st. It's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. If you know of anyone that's interested, feel free to shoot me a message privately. But that's about it for me.
Okay. Good to see you, Barrington.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Anyone else? I know I'm looking for commercial residential stuff, also looking storage facilities. I am open to some industrial properties, depending where they're located, as long as there's nothing that's, any environmental issues. And also singles, doubles, and obviously bigger units. Because obviously I do buy and hold along with the wholesaling and also the flips. So keep me in mind for anything like that. Anyone else? Anyone else have a Christmas wish list here? Everybody's good. All right, perfect. I know before we actually, Leon was asking a question before we got started over here. And Leon, ask your question, please. And then because that your question was something that we were going to go over. Oh, is Leon there?
I'm here.
There
Yeah,
you
I'm
are.
here. Yeah, I basically, the question that we started to talk about and said, okay, well, probably better to have a more in-depth discussion associated with the larger group, and that is talk to a couple of people. I think even Barrett and I had this snippet, if you will, of this discussion when we were at the Rochester Construction Training Center. I mean, basically, it seems like it's a lot more of a challenge to find properties where the numbers make sense. And you can actually go in, find a property, and have something that you can rehab and flip, and the numbers work. You can find a lot of properties out, seem like always, and the numbers won't work. But typically, if you put your head to a grinding stone and work really, really hard, you can find some things. And it seems like that's become much more of a challenge. And so my basic question was, what was it that other folks were seeing as they were trying to do the same thing, trying to find properties where the numbers work? I mean, sort of to the comment that Barrington was made when he said he was looking for properties where the numbers work.
Mm-hmm. So I want this to be interactive with everybody, so we get different points of view here. Who is also experiencing that? I'm sure, I know Leon's not the only one. I know that for a fact. I know we all are.
I'm experiencing it, Joe. I've been calling a lot lately around in the areas that I want to target. And it seems like right when I think I'll get it under contract, they'll want to hold off because, someone else must have called them or, whatever, and they think their homes are worth Zillow estimates. That seems like the numbers I'm getting from majority of sellers are the Zestimate, and it is tough making those numbers work when they want retail for something that's not worth retail.
Yeah.
But there are a few I have found that have been in a decent range where the numbers can work, but they're no home runs or anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We all have stories. Actually, I want to hear from a couple other people. I have a great story in regards to what you just talked about and in regards to what Leon is asking.
I've been experiencing the same thing. It's been tougher, finding good deals. So I'm thinking that buy and hold wise, a lot, because back when I first started, when I got into the business in 2012, buy and hold wise, I was always looking for a lot of equity and cash flow. It seems like today, a lot of equity isn't much of a concern to some investors as long as they're cash flowing.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get you guys' opinions on that. If that makes sense.
Yeah. That's you're everybody's correct here. Everybody is. Anyone else? Because this is a fantastic question, especially with the rate, because this is encompassing everything that's going on right now. Rates have gone up, inventory is still down, prices are not expected to come down crazy enough. But I mean, I want to. Anyone else?
I got one more, Joe, that I'll chime in. A few houses that I've called on, they want to sell as is, no looks at it, you know, take it or leave it. And the prices are great. They're phenomenal prices, but you know, they won't let me go walk the property one bit, you know, and I've tried every card that I can. I'm an insurance agent. I'm with the city. I told her I'll dress up like I'm working at the city. I'll go buy a blue polo and some khaki pants and knock on the door. But you know, these people just, they're not for it at all. So that's something else I've been experiencing. Take it or leave it without seeing it.
I'm guessing maybe the homeowners, the property owners that aren't letting you see the property, they probably can't get inside themselves, maybe because they got non-performing tenants.
Maybe, I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
But according to them, you know, they're all great paying tenants, you know. So
yeah, of course. Of course.
No issues at all. They want to sell for next to nothing, you know. But still, I mean, I just need to get in and get some pictures, you know. So that's the issue.
Tom, just dress up as a cop and go in there.
Yeah, I'll definitely won't do that, Brandy. I will not do that. It's like the only thing I will not do is dress up as a cop.
Listen, you got to get in there, so you got to do whatever you got to do.
Oh man. Well, you know, I mean, that's everything everyone's talking about. We've all gone through it. Everybody's going through it. First thing we're going to start with is with what Leon was asking. Okay, because all of us are having problems finding properties. I know a lot of people. There's people I haven't heard from in years that are calling me up saying, "Hey, Joe," if I'm like, "Holy smokes, I haven't heard this from these people in so long." Well, you know, they're reaching out. Okay, even though they're still finding properties, they're not finding as many. Okay, and they're the ones that are finding properties, and I'm doing a whole lot of marketing, but we're hitting our marketing even harder and doing even more compared to what we used to do. Okay, because you know, we're still locating them, and yes, the suburban properties have been very tough to find. They're, you know, the crazy prices are just ridiculous. 2 days ago, today's Thursday, on Tuesday, I went to go look at a house on Dewey Avenue, 2-bedroom house, single family ranch. The house needed probably about, I figured $70,000 worth of work. Okay. The guy had a pool in the back, had a koi pond in the back. This thing was an unbelievably high maintenance backyard, and it needed everything. And the house, they were actually in Florida. The house had actually caught fire while they were in Florida, so it was an extensive amount of damage. And I went over there, and really great, nice people. But somebody had gone over there and said, "Oh man, you can get $180,000 for this house fixed up." And that was very nice. By the way, this is a 2-bedroom ranch, 1,001 square feet on Dewey Avenue.
Where on Dewey? Dewey, is it Greece Dewey or is it the city?
It's
Dewey?
Greece Dewey.
Okay.
But is not too far from the the Parkway. Okay. Right across the street from where Parkwood Manor Apartments is. I guess there was an entryway there, whatever it's called there. So, and I'm thinking, and I was very nice. I said to the guy, I go, "Look, so this guy's telling you," and he wasn't an expert, but obviously took him as an expert. And I was very nice. I said, "Your house is worth $180 a square foot." And that's all he had locked in his head. And and he wanted $50,000 for this house. Now 50 plus almost 80, because if you figure 70, everybody goes over, and you got your holding costs, you got your whatever. You're already at $130,000. And I figured this house on a great day is worth maybe 150. If you're lucky, maybe 160. Okay. And I almost didn't want to give him my, because he goes, listen, I want, the land is worth 25,000. That's the tax assessors. And I want 30 on top of that. And then I'll take 50. And I had to be at 25,000 bucks. I had to. And what was weird, yesterday I get a phone call and I said, listen, he goes, well, I got one other person coming to take a look at it, blah, blah, blah. Guy went over there, looked at it, and I guess he owns a printing company. I don't know who this guy was. But you know, the gentleman called me up, very nice homeowner. He goes, just wanted to let you know, listen, I appreciate you coming over. I said, I took a higher offer. Great. Hope you sold for $1 million. And I go, just out of curiosity, what did you sell it for? He goes, $40,000. And I had to ask him if, you know, I want to know who it was, because I need to know if it was actually somebody who owned his own company, construction company, because that would have made more sense. Guy owns a printing company. I don't know who the guy is. And I'm trying to figure out how this guy is going to make money on this property to flip it. Okay. Unless he plans on buying it and holding it. But, you know, having a rental with a koi pond and an in-ground pool in it, not the best situation. I don't like having rentals with pools. I get rid of them, okay, for liability wise. But I am, and I'm sure a bunch of us, we're all saying no a heck of a lot more than we're saying yes. And, you know, I just hope that guy didn't just jump on that property thinking, you know, he's going to try and make the numbers work on that place over there. Okay. I would rather not take that deal than put myself in a position where I just, you know, financially, I'm going to kick myself, you know, and I think, and Leon, I don't know if you're in a situation where you're getting frustrated in regards to finding properties. Are you getting frustrated?
No, I mean, I just trying to understand, you know, the lay of the land from the standpoint of what's the challenge out there, you know, because you go through time periods where you get so many offers coming at you that, you know, it's not a big deal. And given the environment from a financial standpoint and all the things that's coming down the road from the standpoint of inflation and all those increase in mortgage and in the rates for financing and all those things, just trying to think about, well, what is it going to be like when things really get tougher, you know? And so it's always hard to try to guess, for sake of better words, what's going to happen. But yeah, it is not the what's frustration, I guess was the word to use. Just trying to understand what's really happening and what are other people seeing at this point in time.
Every single person I've spoken with, that especially wholesalers, they've had to up their marketing. Okay, I know that. And with the rates going, I actually read some great information, which I'm going to go over. But I mean, you're looking in a very extremely competitive area. Webster, Penfield, everybody wants that. What about, have you looked into like parts of Wayne County, Ontario, Walworth, Marion? Have you looked over there? There's some great deals over there.
No, I haven't actually started to do any marketing in that area. And clearly, there are some folks that I know that's their prime area that they market in. They do more marketing there than they do in the city or suburbs closer to the city, because it's, I guess I was gonna say it's an easier area, but that's not necessarily the right words. It's really more of an area where there has not been as much marketing and individuals coming in looking for properties and things in that area. So it's like it's a fresher, newer type area from the standpoint of real estate investors really trying to look at what's there then and get deals.
Mhm.
So there's a couple of people that I know that's pretty much their main area that they work in.
So Joe, another thing I noticed is that there's been a lot of out-of-staters, wholesalers. I've been getting a lot of emails. I don't even know how they have my email.
Yeah.
You know, with deals, like I've seen some on North Street and they were listing it for like 70,000 starting out on North Street, you know, and it was, you know, I've noticed that. And, you know, when I've called sellers, they said, you know, well, this person offered me this, you know, because they're not from the area. They don't know anything. I've had people message me on Facebook that are out of staters, don't even know what a C of O is. You know,
Yeah.
they don't know anything about our area. So they're offering these prices because they live in different areas thinking, you know, they live in an area where in the city a $300,000 house is normal. They see ours, a seller wants 100,000. They're like, oh, no brainer. You know, this will sell no problem, you know? So I've noticed that a lot also recently, that a lot of out-of-staters are just offering whatever because they think it can move.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've noticed exactly the same thing. Get a lot of phone calls and voicemails from folks who just want to give me a call back, and they have specific property addresses and say, well, do you want to sell your property? So yeah, I mean, I've noticed that same thing as well.
Another thing I wanted to point out too is I've noticed wholesalers have been doing something they're coining as wholetailing, where they're putting it on the market.
Mhm.
And that's, you know, that's a toughie there too, right? To compete with that when it's a wholesale deal. I found one on my favorite street. I own a bunch of houses on that street. So whenever I see one on the market, I'm like, oh, let me see if I can get it for below asking. And when I got the information, it was from a local wholesaler that we all probably know. And I'm like, you know, why is this? You know, how do you have this? You're a realtor, you know, and they explained the process. And I found that very interesting that they're putting houses under wholesale on the market, you know, but it's just a tough market right now.
Yeah, well, some of the wholesalers too, I've been hearing, and they have every right to, I guess, you know, I hear it. Some of them are, especially some of the newer people, they're taking a lot of the profit and leaving very minimal for some of the flippers. Some of the wholesalers are making more money than the people flipping the properties.
Yeah.
And, you know, and the people flipping the properties are, you know, they're like, I'm taking all the risk. You know, you're not leaving enough, you know, enough meat on there to be able to make it interesting enough for them. They don't want to take that chance.
I do know that a few realtors have contacted me that I, you know, communicate with. There's a lot of tax, you know, houses, tax foreclosures coming on the market that are very, very affordable, but it's just, you don't know what comes with those, you know, you know, the liens and everything that are against those. But there have been some in decent areas. For the most part, the ones they've presented to me have not been that good, but it seems like there are more coming.
Well, there has been a shift. Okay. Because I've been, you know, I've experienced it personally. I'm sure other people have, which obviously with not just with interest rates going up, but with everything, with inflation and everything else, we still have low inventory. There are more houses coming on the market. What I have been noticing is, and we talked about this the last time we were on the call, there's been more days on market. And since then, since our last call, typically, you know, I'll get emails of properties that have been listed. And sometimes they'll say 1, 2, 4, 5. In the last few weeks, I'll get emails that says 11, 21. I got one that said 34 new listings. I was like, holy smokes. And then what I'm also seeing is more price reductions. Okay. Where I used to see just every once in a while, whatever, I'm noticing more and more and more and more. And then I'm looking at days on market. I saw a house that was, and these are suburban properties that was listed and it said price reduction. It had only been on the market for 7 days. And they didn't have any movement, nothing. So what I'm also figuring is, even though we still have low inventory, you know, I'm thinking it should possibly get a little bit easier. I read a report that since rates have been going up, and this is since January, these are for first-time home buyers, 9 million first-time home buyers have been priced out of the market. Okay. Now they raised rates yesterday, 0.5%. We knew it was coming, but nationwide, 9 million. Okay. Rochester is a pretty steady market. You know, will we be affected? I don't know, maybe a little bit, probably not as much as some of the bigger markets. We never really are. But you know, what I've been noticing is, and I actually I've experienced it. We actually had a house that we did in a C type area, C minus area, and we listed it. Typically, you know, we rehabbed it. Typically, we'd get offers with no problem. We had people looking at it, but we had no offers. And then we did something we haven't done in years. We staged it. We lowered the price and we staged it. It's on the market right now. We're going to see what's going to happen this week with it. The brand new pictures just went up this week on it. But we had another gentleman. This gentleman, he does a lot of flips. He had like 16 or 17 of them going at once right now. Some of the properties that he's doing in the C-type areas, he spent an unbelievable amount of money. He's going to turn into an extremely expensive rental, because he's noticed that in those C-type areas, the market is slowing down, and those affects the first-time home buyers. Okay, those C-type areas there, C plus, C minus, or, you know, C minus areas over there. Even he's noticed it. So he's changing things up a little bit. And obviously I am also being extremely more conservative with the properties. No more am I thinking, okay, because typically the other C type properties we were doing, most people, they were getting multiple offers. Okay. I mean, we did one on Rosemary Drive, you know, that's right off of Portland Avenue. We ended up selling that, had no garage. It was a 3-bedroom, and we sold it for $141,000. Okay. The last one we just did, that one is also a 3-bedroom. The bedrooms are a little bit smaller. The 2 of the bedrooms were, but the rest of the house is absolutely spectacular. And that one is listed for $99,000 right now. And the other one we had multiple offers on. This one we don't. Okay, so there is a shift going on, and then one thing I'm waiting for now is for it to catch up to some of the sellers, because eventually something's got to give. I mean, Rochester's a great market, but I mean, has anyone else been experiencing some of this? In regards to especially the C-type areas, the suburbs are selling like crazy. Those, if the houses are nice, they're still selling. Okay, but understand those, you know, we're talking about, like, you know, the difference between the B and the C-type areas here. Can anyone, because I want to keep this interactive, anyone else going through some of this? I can't be the only flipper on this Zoom call here.
Well, I'm not a flipper, but I did see an article the other day that said home prices that are selling in Rochester dropped by like 6.9% last month. So over what they had been on the average. So I think it's definitely people are trying to keep their their homes competitive for the people who need to get those mortgages that are now crazy high. Like before the Fed rate increase, the 30-year fixed mortgage was at 7.5%, and now it's down to like 5.9 today because they were afraid it was going to be higher. So they jumped the gun on like Monday. It was 7.5 because they were afraid that they were going to go above half a basis point, but or 500 basis points. But the problem that we're going to see is because the Fed's not raising interest rates quickly enough to counteract inflation, by this time next year, we'll be in the middle of stagflation. So we will see high unemployment, and we will see a whole lot of other issues that go hand in hand with it. Like stuff's going to be real bad next year. That's my official prediction for today. But you've got time now because they're raising it very slowly. So by the end of this year, with the other 5 meetings, they're only expecting to have increased rates by like 2.5%. But if inflation really is closer to 9%, 9.5%, you got a long road to hoe, and the damage at the end of it is going to be a heck of a lot higher. You're going to have a lot more issues because they're stretching this out. So it needs a hard reset, like what happened in 1980, 81, and they're not willing to do it. So,
I mean, it's one of these things where it's sort of hard to really understand the complete lay of the land, so to speak. And so we're talking now about a number of different things. I'm going to throw into it another piece of input that's going to even muddy the waters a little further. I got a call from a person who's writing an article for the Rochester Business Journal. And I got a call yesterday. I didn't call them back yet. But they called me because I'm the president of Freedom First, okay? And so this person who's writing the article basically, and they left an email, left a voicemail because of the fact that I typically don't answer the phone if I don't know who it is. And if it's someone that's a FFREIA person, like the people on this call, if it's Dom, is it Barrington, if it's Joe, it says FFREIA, so I know, okay, I got to answer the phone now. And so, but the person left a voicemail and left their number and said for me to call them back. And their question was, what's happening in the marketplace? Because they noticed that, and I don't know where they got the information from, but they noticed that they have like 3 or 4 companies that have bought between 150 and 200 houses in Rochester. And why is it that they're doing that? And what is driving them to do that? And so it's like, okay, the first thing in my mind, well, over what time period was that? That's really a lot of inventory for 1 or 2 or 3 companies to take on, because altogether you're talking about something approaching, between 450 and 600 properties. And so I said, well, gee, that's interesting, but I don't really know the answer why. And, but I think it's something to keep in mind. And probably Andy, you have a different view of those things, because it's not exactly the same. It's the same market, so to speak, but it's not exactly the same type of buyers. We're a lot different than some large company. What have you seen in that arena?
So that's been going on nationwide for probably 2 years. There's large hedge funds and institutionally backed money buying up tracts of real estate, and they are not looking at the numbers like everybody on this call is looking at the numbers. They're looking at the long-term game. So they're just buying, and they're buying to rent because they see the average price of a home being over $450,000 in the US, and they see wages are stagnant and inflation is skyrocketing. So they're looking at, I'm going to make a lot of money doing this. So they're buying up these huge tracts of land everywhere. And in some states, it's as high as 30% of all homes being sold are going to these big firms. So BlackRock is one that is buying up massive massive tracts of homes everywhere. So I think having one of those people who's funded by BlackRock on one of our Zoom calls about a month, 2 months ago, that was not coincidental. They're buying into this market, and they're buying into it hard. And then they're buying into every market. It's not just Rochester, but Rochester's probably still got the highest cap rates of any market that they're into. Like you look at their holdings in North Carolina, South Carolina, they might have a 3% cap rate and they don't care. That's not their problem. They're institutional dollars just looking for cash flow. And that's what they're operating on. They want ownership and they want cash flow. That's it. If they lose a little bit of money, it doesn't matter because they'll make the money back and they know they will. Where everybody on this call is like, I don't want to lose my ass on this. So yeah. But it's happening everywhere. It's not just a Rochester thing. My advice to that reporter would be to look at the numbers for the rest of the country, because they're buying up even new construction. They're buying up for rent. They're buying entire tracts from big 20 builders because they want to rent them.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. That would have been my assessment, would have been close to that as well. But I would have thought that if it was me, I would have been a little bit shaky doing that in Rochester versus one of the larger cities in the South or Southwest, well, like Florida or Texas, or where the population is growing, and long term, it seems like a more viable area to be doing some of those sorts of things. And certainly the approach of throwing the money out there and letting it stick until things really just over time go up, given the natural play of the marketplace. There's no more houses, there's no more land being built in houses close in the cities. Or if you go and take that approach and buy a lot of things, I certainly agree that you can make money, but the time frame and the time span is not something that most people want to get involved in.
So Leon, I was contacted by a buddy of mine recently who's a contractor, and he needed some help, and he met a guy at Home Depot who works for these hedge funds. They have 300 houses here, and they need to turn them over quick. So he took one on. I walked it with him, and it worries me what they're doing, because we just went through, the good cause, no C of O, whatever thing with the city. This is going to enforce it to happen with these hedge funds, because what they're doing to these houses and their turnovers are very, very, it's not good quality. It's people are going to get hurt living in these houses, but they just want to turn and burn these houses. They have 300 of them. They're looking for contractors. They're paying great money to do this stuff, but they don't have enough people to turn, because they bought so many houses.
93% of them that they've bought in the last, all these hedge funds and equity groups, 93% of them, they're buying them at under 300K. So they're literally shutting out, in addition to the interest rates, they're shutting out first-time home buyers. They're basically locking them into mandatory rentals.
Mm-hmm.
And that group, I know that group that you're talking about, Don, especially here in Rochester. They use the exact same model in all their states. Now, they don't care if they buy in an A area or a D area. Every one of them gets granite. Every one of them gets central air conditioning, because they want to keep the model exactly the same. And I know they have an unbelievable amount of properties just sitting there right now. I know exactly who you're talking about. And what worries me is, I talk to other people, and they're like, okay, we might end up buying these properties back for half the price, because they are sitting there. And yes, the city is going to get on their butts about getting these places fixed up, because they're just literally just sitting there, and their model is to be able to, and they use the numbers, they need to be able to go in there, fix it up, and then they want to go there and cash it out. The guy that I know, he is their acquisitions guy for this area here. Nice guy, but that's all he does. And then they pass it off to a whole different department. So the stuff that's sitting there the guy who bought them doesn't know. You know, he knows he knows a number. He doesn't know exactly what's going on in regards to, because he has nothing to do with the construction side of it. Okay. And Andy, you are 100% right. They are pricing people out. Almost 30%. This is nationwide. Almost 30% of houses that are being bought right now are all cash offers, which are up from years ago. So we're getting almost to a third, and which is just incredible. And it is, you know, these guys right now that are coming into Rochester, they're buying good stuff, bad stuff, as long as the numbers work. And yes, and Andy is correct. They want to be able to rent them out. They make the numbers work. They go in, they'll refi them out, pull their money out, and they're renting. And they're going to be making money. Right now, there's a lot of bumps going on with it, but I'm sure they can handle. They own thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of houses all across the United States.
Joe, do you see the same thing happening with the U of R acquisition team?
I don't know. I mean, U of R, oh, that's right. Yeah. We went to go look at the house over there.
Yeah.
And then somebody from the U of R called him because he saw a dumpster in the front of the house. We had this great deal over there, right on, what was it, Plymouth?
South Plymouth, right across from the dorm. Right across from the dorms. Great one.
Right across from the dorms. And we were just about ready to get it. And actually that was a brandy deal. And somebody from the U of R called him up. So but they're very focused in that area though. They're not going to go in and do, other parts of the city.
Mm-hmm.
But
they could try and buy a lot in the ward though, where a lot of investors are trying to get in to take advantage of student rentals, but I don't think it's going to be at the level of the hedge funds, but
no.
But if they're offering what that guy was thinking for that house, that's tough competition.
Yeah. And I mean, that guy who called up Leon, they should have Leon and Andy on there interviewing both of them. And Andy's the numbers guy and a half over there.
Yeah, I'll make sure that when I contact the person back, I give them both of your numbers.
Give them Andy's.
Yeah, Andy and Joe. Stop shaking your head, Andy.
Oh, it's all Andy. Andy's the numbers guy. He knows more about stuff than oh my God. When it comes to numbers, he is up on everything because that's his thing.
That's what I get paid for.
Well,
by anybody not turning units. That's where I'm going to be living today. Is I'm going to be walking 38 apartments today. It'll be fun.
Any update
salt in that wound?
Any update on materials, Andy? This is my weekly. I come here to get updates from materials.
Right. So right now things are okay. You're not going to get any Bosch appliances anytime soon. I talked to a VP over there last week. They can't get stuff out of Germany because of the stuff in Ukraine. They were supposed to have stuff at the end of April. They don't have it. And they don't have an ETA on when it's going to be able to get here. So pretty much Bosch is done with appliances in the US right now. If they're not being completely 100% manufactured here, they're not showing up in stores. So don't buy Bosch is my first piece of advice. If you do, you probably won't get it until January of next year at the earliest. So just be aware of that. But the rest of the market right now, we're probably about 2 months out from another implosion, but shipping is going to start to become an issue because diesel prices are skyrocketing. So there's going to be companies that don't have the cash flow to ship goods, which means that in addition to the coming, some of the news places have been talking about, global famine, probably not in America. Prices will keep going up. We're not going to have famine here, but we will have shortages because 40% of the wheat supply is not being planted. And we didn't get the fertilizer we needed to plant what we need. And we're planting more soybeans than corn. And we're going to burn more corn in our gasoline to offset price increases from crude. So anything with corn, flour, blah, blah, blah is going to go through the roof. So just be ready to pay like $7 for a loaf of bread by the time, we get through this mess at the middle to end of next year. It should all be hopefully the dust will settle unless they start throwing tactical nukes next week. Um,
Man,
Right,
Andy,
shiny.
you're just
But
full of
you're about,
positive.
I know, but you're about 2 months out from a full implosion on product from China again. Mostly
What
because
about
there's stuff
lumber?
on the water. It's hard to say. It depends on what Canada does. You know, the Biden administration did lower the tariffs back down to Trump levels because they just knee jerked and spiked them through the roof. And that was part of the reason for the huge price increase out of nowhere. Demand is starting to soften. First time mortgage applications have dropped by like 40% year over year. So you're going to see like the on the National Association of Home Builders side, everybody's panicking now because they're afraid that, you know, like every other downturn in history, it always starts with construction and real estate is always the first one to take it on the chin, which means building materials and other stuff take it on the chin as well. So demand is softening, but so is the labor supply and so is all the other stuff. So it's hard to say, like, do I think we're going to get the $1,700 a board foot for lumber again? No, I don't think so. I don't expect it to get a lot cheaper, but as demand continues to soften, as these mortgage rates go up and there's more shockwaves, you're going to see, as long as they can keep people showing up to the mills to do the work they need to do, it'll be okay. You know, we get some stuff out of South America that's really hasn't been impacted. So like your moldings and stuff, a lot of the fiberboard product comes out of South America. A lot of your like door skins and for masonite doors and whatnot, those actually come out of Turkey. So there's imports still coming in for building materials that are not as impacted by what's going on in Europe and what's going on over in China. But anything with Chinese components, you're gonna have issues with in about 2 months, and it's gonna be longer than the last one, because as opposed to it just stacking up and getting piled deep at our ports, it's piled deep at their ports for the raw materials to make the goods. So there's piles of stuff sitting outside these ports in China that they're not unloading like it was for us last year, except for us, it was finished goods. For them, it's the raw materials to make the finished goods. So you have to have the people to unload it, and then you have to have the people to actually produce it in the factory. And then we're still going to have the backups at our ports. So you're about 2 months from an implosion, and then diesel prices are going to screw everything up for everybody, from grocery supply chains to everything else.
So Andy, what do you see in regards to, I mean, like, you know, like about, I don't know, 4 weeks ago, we're putting in a kitchen on a flip, and we had one cabinet that didn't come in, which we had to wait. It was like 2 weeks for a freaking corner cabinet. I'm like, ugh, which, I mean, what do you see the first thing that's going to be holding? I mean, because that's one of the things that scares me now about taking on some really heavy duty flips, because I'm worried about extended time frames here.
Almost every cabinet manufacturer in America uses Chinese components in their cabinets. Most of the delays last year that we saw in cabinets were because they couldn't get door panels and wood components over here. I think we're going to see that again, but they're not, at this point in the game, they're not breaking down exactly what the holdups are, like what's sitting in the ports, what's not being produced, what is being produced. Everybody's really focused on chips, because they're looking at auto production, they're looking at appliances, they're looking at, you know, home electronics, all that kind of stuff as being really the impact. But it's going to be a lot more than that, because so much crap comes out of China, not including what we're going to see in plastic price increases from crude going through the roof. So it could be anything. What I'll say is that there are cabinet manufacturers in the States that are not having these issues because they source their panels not from China. So there's some where it's mostly domestic production, where they make everything themselves, like Kitchen Compact, so they can control prices and supply, or some of the Masco companies. If you go to Home Depot, it's Thomasville. If you buy it from Brennan, it's, I don't even remember the name of it, but they're not having the issues because they're not sourcing as much from China as some of these other manufacturers. Like if you try to get a Craft Made or an Aristocraft or one of those, good luck. You're SOL. You're not going to see it. Once this gets crazy. Right now, again, occasional delays are still a thing, but we're not hearing at this point in the game, your cabinets are going to be 8 to 12 weeks like we were last year. So is that coming again? Yeah, probably, but you got about 2 months of cushion because people ordered up. That this whole just-in-time inventory thing was the reason that stuff fell apart last year, because everybody was doing the whole lean Six Sigma, green belt, black belt crap. So you could get the material on the floor 12 minutes before, it was delivered 12 minutes before it needed to be put into a vehicle or into an assembly line. Now they're actually warehousing stuff again, which is why industrial space and warehouse space has skyrocketed in value, because they went from having no inventory and high cash flow to lower cash flow, higher inventory levels. So they've got a cushion built in on the supply chain that wasn't there last year, but it's not built in to the point where it's going to absorb an extra 2 to 3 months worth of delays. It just can't. So softening demand is going to be the best thing for you at this point if you've got a lot of work coming up. So, there's pluses and minuses when there's market turns. And if demand continues to decrease, supply will increase, but prices probably won't move.
So Andy, I know you have some folks that at Home Depot. I had heard that they were actually be building warehouses and doing some things a little bit different than they've done in the past. Because I thought that they basically use their stores as their sort of place for warehousing, for sake of better words, their goods. And now I thought that they were in the process of building some warehouses, even one here. Have you heard anything along those lines?
So they've been working on that for like 5 years. They actually, in some of their earnings calls, they did like $23 billion worth of warehouse expansion, distribution expansion in 2017. And then they did another I want to say 15 billion in 2021 that they talked about. Home Depot's shifting gears because they see an economic downturn coming. So they've changed bidroom completely. Like there's no more 7-day window. Every order has to be over $2,000 to get discounts. They audited all the rebates. So they've seen this for a while and they're making adjustments. On their earnings call in March, they actually said that they were going to have the pro margins. So the 40% of the B2B business that they do, the pro margins were going to end up being the same as the consumer margins, which operates at about 43%. So they're going to take it on the chin in net sales, and they're going to hemorrhage dollars out for large customers, because large customers are not going to deal with them if they're going to have to pay 10 or 15% more than they're paying now. So they're willing to give that up to make more margin off the average Joe. And they've already put things in place to do it. And they're changing the whole outside sales program. They're changing the in-store support for the pro. It's going kind of this way. It's going back to the way it was in the early 2000s when things were not great for Home Depot. So in addition to that, the warehousing thing that they did that initially because of the whole Six Sigma black belt just-in-time inventory crap. They expanded on it during the collapse because they need the storage space now so they can have the inventory to sell product. So it really started when they bought Interline in 2015, because they picked up like 230 warehouses, but they were small. And then now they kind of combine everything for HD Supply, Interline, and Home Depot and HomeDepot.com, even though they're all separate companies. They're combining all their distribution and warehousing into one. So the footprint is getting bigger, but you've got 4 different supply chains being fed out of them. So they are stacking it deep. They are buying it more aggressively, and they're doing more things to ensure that they have product to sell, because you can't sell it if you don't have it, regardless of how much you sell it for price wise. So there's a lot of that going on, but that's been going on since 2017. They just expanded it in 2021.
Yeah, I mean, I asked that question because, of course, a lot of folks here utilize Home Depot because of our connection from a national real standpoint.
Yep.
And I just wanted to see what the lay of the land is. Sounds like, so you can correct me, they were doing some things, and hopefully it's going to all align so that we won't be hurt too bad from the standpoint of getting product, but the price of it can still be impacted pretty dramatically.
Yeah. I mean, they're basically looking to increase margins from B2B sales by 15% by the end of this year.
Mhm.
So it's going to stink. Let's put it that way. It's not going to be a fun ride for a lot of people who rely on them, but they're also shifting more and more of their business out of the stores. Like they're now that they own HD Supply again, they're trying to take all of the apartment business and all of the hospitals and nursing homes and schools and stuff that they're working with, and they're trying to push them out of the stores and send them to HD Supply or HD Pro in some level, but not in the box stores anymore. They're trying to cut that business off and make the box stores more of a like remodeler, homeowner spend, and put all the full-time people over to the catalog companies.
Well, you know, Andy, like that house that I looked at on Dewey Avenue that guy bought for 40 grand, I was worried about, you know, because it needed all the way gut right. I mean, this thing was all the way to the shell. So everything we rebuilt a whole entire house, and that's what worried me, you know. And then I'm thinking to myself, it's going to be 30 right now with the way closings are going on, which is taking longer, you know, even 45 days or whatever the heck it was going to be. You know, and then the start, and then by time we're done, because that's not going to be a 30-day project. I mean, that was going to be probably a good, I figure 75 to 90-day project, because you're literally from the whole inside out. I mean, the whole inside in, or whatever actually you want to call it there. And that's why I had to get it. I had to be at 25,000. I needed to have that cushion, and I figured it was going to be somewhere closer to 80. Well, other times I would have figured it'd probably be somewhere right around 60, 65,000. I wanted to figure 70 to, and then the figure over is closer to 80. So
it's probably not wrong. I've been telling everybody to pad their production times. Like if they expect to get something done in 90 days, I've been telling them to add 30%, basically between material delays and labor shortages. Everything's taking about 30% longer than it should. So, you know, unless you're talking about a scrape and paint where the guy's, you know, chucking a truck and he needs to get paid because he spends it all on meth at the end of the day, like you're not going to get the work done on time. It's just not going to happen.
no, not at all. Who else is I know some of the, I know if you're a landlord, some of you got to be going through some of this too, I would assume. Anyone else having delays with anything, or even have to adjust?
What about getting cabinets from like the Amish or something? I
The
know it'd be
Amish
$1 million, but
Well, the Amish, no, they're actually cheaper. So
Really?
like I know people who were driving up to the middle of nowhere to buy like Pat Gallagher was driving up to the middle of
course.
nowhere and picking up 2x4s and plywood. And it's not stamped and rated plywood, and it's not stamped and rated 2x4s, but they were enough to get the job done. So he was just driving up there and getting them for like when the price spikes hit last year, he was driving up there and getting them at what the old prices were. Yeah, there's a few people who are doing that. So like the stuff is there, you just got to find it. And the Amish are usually cheaper, but their lead times stink. And the quality is good, but it's not as exact because they don't care that a 2x4 is, you know, exactly 2 1/4 by or 2.5 by whatever, like 1 3/4. Like they don't
Not standard.
They try the best they can. Like there's 2 ways you can buy it. You can buy it rough, or you can buy it planed. And when you buy it planed, it's close, but it's not exact. It can be off by 1/8 1/4. So yeah.
man, Andy, you're a wealth of knowledge.
Unfortunately, that's the world I live in. So
Can't wait till that reporter calls you up.
no,
That
reporter is gonna get
They won't
stoned.
be able to write fast enough.
He can't pay me enough to talk to him. That's the deal.
Yes, you can. You're famous.
Whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, and by the way, I know we haven't really had a whole lot of a chance to answer other questions, other people. So if you have questions, by the way, feel free to interject. You know, I can't really tell who else is on here right now, if there's any newer type people, but if you do, please don't let us overwhelm you.
I was hoping that Scott would be in the meeting this morning, but I have some questions about storage units. Um, considering building a storage unit on, adding to some storage units that I have on my property here. But I guess I'd like to run some numbers with Scott, or maybe we have some knowledge in this group here. What are like the most popular storage unit sizes and things like that?
That I mean, as far as for storage unit sizes, popularity wise, that I don't really know. I know, I mean, everybody has their preferences. Some people like the 5x10, some people like the 10x10s, some people like the 10x20s, or just, I mean, do you already have a mix of those on your property right now, or what's your mix right now?
No, I'm actually thinking new construction,
Oh, okay.
new building, and then which is the best way to break it out. I could probably do 16 5x10s, or mixture.
Have you?
What's that?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Have you called some of the other storage facilities in your area? And to see?
Yeah, I haven't called them. I've looked on their websites and stuff like that, but they can be deceptive.
Well, what I would do is I would at least call and say, hey, listen, what are your prices and what do you have available? Because, and then say, hey, listen, what do you have? Do you have 5x10? I'm trying to figure out what I want. And then you can extrapolate, say, hey, listen, what is available? And then they'll say, well, I got no 5x10s available. I have no 10x10s available, but I do have 10x20s available. And then if you call a few of them,
okay,
you may be able to figure that out to see which is going to be the most, what's going to be the most popular, or what's going to be available. I talked to one guy in North Carolina last week, and he only does 1,000-foot square units, and that's what he does. And he's got them rented out. He makes $700 a month on each one. He ended up buying a 94 unit one. He goes, I really shouldn't have bought it. I thought I'd be able to, he liked the lot. And, but he goes, that to me, and it's got a mix. His whole thing is the 1,000 square foot units. He's going to build 20 more. He already has deposits on them. That's what he likes. That's the area there supports that. Are you local, or where are you located?
Local, yeah, West Henrietta.
I would call up some of them and find out what they have. You're in Henrietta, they have everything there in Henrietta. You'll probably get 10 different storage facilities within a 3-mile radius of you.
Well, which is not a good thing either. So
yeah, you got to make sure you got to make sure you do your population per square foot to figure out if it's going to warrant. I mean, how many units are you looking to put up?
Well, that's just it. It's going to probably be a 30 by 40 square, 30 by 40 barn. And then I'm trying to figure out which is the best way to subdivide that.
Okay.
I could put in 16 5x10s, or I could put in 8 10x10s, or split it up even further than that. But I'm just trying to find out which is the unit size that would give me the most bang for my buck. So
well, you also got to take into consideration what are you going to get the best price per square foot.
Right, exactly.
So
I currently have a 30 by 40 barn there now, and I'm renting the one large space, and I think by subdividing I could get a lot more money.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. I mean, I would definitely touch base with Scott or Gabe. I know Gabe's not on this morning. Scott, you could probably get a hold of Scott. I don't know if you have his number or not.
I think I have his number, and I sent him a text, but he must be busy. So
he's 3 hours behind. He's not even awake yet.
He's supposedly driving to Yosemite. He might be up and driving and just has no signal.
Oh,
okay.
Really?
Yeah, he said he's going to do Yosemite Friday and Saturday. So
nice.
Oh,
So Joe, do we have new people on the call? Maybe some Tiffany or Anna. Do they have any specific questions? I mean, this is one of those sessions where people get an opportunity, if you will, to ask very specific questions and get input on what they're doing and what it is that they can do different. So just wanted to see if there was maybe an opportunity to give them some time.
Absolutely.
I don't really have a ton, Leon. I work under Josh Rosenberg, which Joe, I know you know him really well. We mainly just looking for single families. We're trying to sell off the ones in the rougher areas we have. We just sold a house on Avenue A, trying to get out from underneath those bad ones to roll that around into some good ones. Currently working on a house over on Virgin, which is actually really nice over there. So we're having really good luck. Lots of people coming through, wanting to know what we're going to do with it. Neighbors are really great. We have had some delays in our maintenance and getting things done. A lot of that has to do, I think, with the lack of people wanting to work, and the people that are working at a higher price than sometimes we're like, all right, okay, we're going to hold that off. I haven't really had any shortages on materials, but I'm not really doing a whole lot of major renovations either. I'm going in and doing the basics just to be able to get a tenant back in. Some of the houses we bought recently, the tenants have zero interest in moving, and are very acceptable to, giving the 90-day notice that, hey, rent's got to go up. You've been paying like $600 for a 3-bedroom for eternity, and we can't do that anymore. And we've had good success with that. I mainly get on the call and have been kind of quiet, just because I'm kind of feeling my way through everything, seeing what people have to offer as far as information. I was just at the meeting at Da Vinci's last Thursday, which was really nice. It was great to see faces and not be on Zoom all the time. But for the most part, like I said, we're just looking for single family houses and just kind of trying to get through it. I have had some luck at eviction court and some not so good luck. More or less just a lot of adjournments and stuff. So that's kind of held up some stuff, because until I get my property back, I can't, I'm not going to do a ton of repairs. I have a lady whose window's been broken 4 times because of her own domestic violence issues that she's not willing to get out of. So that stuff's on hold, but other than that, that's pretty much all I have right now.
Okay. Yeah. Did I lose everybody? Nope. All right. I'm sorry. I thought something happened. Yeah. And then who else also, Leon? I couldn't really tell.
There was a Lorraine Warner who's new.
That's me.
Mhm.
I apologize. I'm at Panera. I forgot to bring my keys to get to my studio at Hungerford, so it's kind of loud. But I'm learning. I'm looking at getting involved and just really starting to network and figure out what the deal is here and what Rochester is like. So,
what are you looking to do in real estate? What do you?
I'd like to do short-term rentals. I've thought about private money lending. And I don't know, possibly wholesaling, but I'm exploring what the options are really still. But, and I'm a native Rochesterian, and there is interest. I mean, Rochester is a great city, but I am curious. It's been interesting to listen, because I hear people saying, well, Rochester's a great market, and I know there's a lot going on, but there are also a lot of problems, I would think, with rentals and things like that in the city. So, so I'm just trying to get a feel for the lay of the land, so to speak.
And don't let us scare you. Okay.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's not gonna, and you guys said it too. It's like, it's work. So it's not like it's a get rich quick thing, but information is the best education, to know what you're getting into and just get your numbers right. And, make sure that the numbers will work.
Mhm.
So, and it's just been a crazy market. So
Yep.
It is.
Yeah.
Have you met your new landlords yet?
me,
Yeah, you said you were in the Hungerford building. You met your new landlords yet?
I have not.
I'm working for them right now in an apartment complex in Webster.
Oh, okay. Are they nice?
They're pretty good, but they have big plans for that building, so it's going to get interesting, I think, in the short term.
I know. My first thought was my rent's going to go up.
I think it's more like everybody's gonna end up moving out at some point. I don't know how far away he is from construction, but that building's got a lot of asbestos that needs to be remediated, and it's gonna go to mixed use.
Ah, okay.
So bottom 2 floors will still be studios and retail and restaurant space and whatever, but the top is going to be all apartments at some point. So
Ah, okay. I'm on the second floor. Well, anyway.
You're safe.
hopefully it'll probably be one of the last ones to get renovated for sure. So
Yeah.
Just use Andy's name. You'll be fine.
no,
Andy McQuaid.
Just kidding.
no, I have nothing to do with that building yet. I don't have a contract for it. I'm only working in Webster. I'll be over there eventually, but not yet.
Okay.
So,
You have to get the lay of the land first.
So as far as for you getting, looking for information, this is a great place to get information, get questions answered. The morning session is a little bit more intimate, which is great because we get into some really nitty gritty stuff. But we also want to make sure to answer the questions, but the networking people here are fantastic to get information from. And don't be afraid to put your information in the chat box also, and also to get people's numbers. They'll at least be able to connect with them. And then obviously, also through the in-person meetings also.
Okay.
So,
And Joe, I have to ask you, are you any relation to John LaBarbera?
I don't know. There's a lot of LaBarbaras.
I guess, yeah, okay.
Who knows?
He's a music guy. He lives down in
No. I've had
Cuca.
people. Yeah, there's actually another guy named Joe LaBarbera he's a famous music guy in New York City. I'm not related to him either.
Oh, okay.
Some people seek me out and they look under joelabarbera.com and they find him. I'm Joe Baya. So,
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I have an Anna Bartusa.
What was that?
I have an Anna Bartusa who has been on several real estate meetings, but she's never spoken and identified herself.
Is she shy? Anna, are you shy?
She's on mute.
She's on mute.
Mm-hmm. There she.
Hey,
Yep,
I think she may be at work, so I don't know if she can go on and talk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I do seem to remember that during her initial intro, she was like working or something.
Yeah. It's all right. Well, I don't know if anyone else has any more questions here because we get ready to about wrap up over here. Before we go, I just want to ask, make sure everyone's all set with anything they wanted to know about.
Cinco de Mayo, go get tacos.
Oh yeah, Cinco de Mayo. There you
All right,
go.
where are we going?
I already am going over to Mexican at lunchtime with my
Salinas?
clients. No, we're going over to Webster. We're going to
Monte Alban.
Monte Albans, yeah.
Empire Boulevard.
Boy, not
Have a
Maria's?
margarita.
No, I don't want to fight the crowds at Maria's. It's a lot easier to get in and out quickly from Monte Albans. Maria's is always ridiculous.
They have a really great beer-rita. It's a margarita with a beer upside down.
Sounds good.
Hell, but all right, we're not promoting drinking here. So, all right,
After
guys.
today's call, some people might need it.
Oh man, after talking to you, I'm like, holy smokes.
Yeah, just how do you think I feel? Because I'm the one who has to study all this crap, and I'm just going, where am I going to put my money?
Oh my God. Yeah, don't get scared, people. People are making money. Rochester's a great place to make money. We're just, we just like to let people know what's going on. That's all. And in this call, because there's only like 13, 15 of us, whatever it was, 16 of us in this call, we can actually get, we can actually talk about a lot of stuff we don't have a chance to talk about in other calls when there's way more people on there. So that's why I kind of like these intimate get-togethers. But all right, everybody, if everybody's all set, I appreciate everybody showing up. Make sure everybody gets plugged in for next week's meetings. And then the next one's going to be in 2 weeks in the evening, 6:45 p.m., 7 o'clock p.m. we start. Thank you very much. Go do real estate. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you,
everybody.
Joe.
All right, bye.
Bye.